she will be talking to us on cancer. She's really a specialist in that field. So we will begin this evening's program with the school prayer. Malti, school prayer, please.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can see me also now. Right. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other.
Thank you, Malti. We now have our interreligious prayers, beginning with the Gayatri Mantra.
Right. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Shanti 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 Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Malti. We now have the Zoroastrian prayer by Freni.
Thank you, Ma. Shri Pak Nadar Avramazdani Madad Hojoji. Gorje Kore Avajiyad, Pak Afshu Neshahe Faredun, Vapak Beram Yazet Panabad, Ham Jartoshti Madadgar, Ham Papi Negedar, Afshu Neshahe Faredun, Vapak Beram Yazet Panabad. Yatha Ahu Vairyo, Yatha Ratush, Ashachithacha, Vanghe Ush, Dazdau Maningo, Shaute Nanam, Angyus Mazdai, Shatrem Chai, Ahurai, Aim, Drigobyo Dadatavastarahem. Yatha ahu vairyo, yatha ratush, ashachithacha, vanghe ush, dazdau maningo, shaute nanam, angyus mazdai, shatrem chai, ahurai, aim, drigobyo, dadatavastarahem. Ashem vahu, vahishtam vasti, usta asti, usta ahmai, yadeshai, vahishtai Ashem. Sarosh yazadni pana ho joji. Thank you.
Thank you, Freni. We now have the Christian prayer by Deepthi. Christian prayer.
Hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come. Will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Thank you, Deepthi. We now have Gulu Advani with the Sikh prayer.
एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भव निर्वैर Akal Murat Ajoni Saban Gur Prasad Jap Ad Jap Sujugad Sach Abhi Sach Nanak Ho Se Bhi Sach सोचे सोच न होवे जे सोचे लखवार चुपे चुप न होवे जे लाए रहा लिवतार बुखिया बुख न उतरी जे बन्ना पुरिया भार सहस्यारा पालख होवे त एक न चले नाल किव सचियारा होइए किव कूरे टूटे पाल हुकुम रजाई चलना नानक लिखिया नान वाहिगुरु जी दा खालसा वाहिगुरु जी दी फतेह बोले सो निहाल सत श्री अकाल.
Thank you, Guru. We now have the Muslim prayer by Jasmine.
Allahu Akbar, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa barik wa salim.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
And now I request Mr. Janaki Ram to kindly introduce our esteemed speaker.
Good evening to our esteemed speaker and all the participants. I am very happy to introduce Dr. Poovamma.C.U. She is the first graduate of the Fellowship Breast Diseases India. She is a senior consultant and director in breast oncology at Sitecare Cancer Hospital. She has more than 13 years of experience in Majumdar Cancer Center, Narayana Hridayalaya. Our area of intervention includes oncoplastic breast conservative surgery, lumpectomy, scarless surgery, nipple reconstruction, and several other which were all very deeply medical terms which I couldn't decipher. She is a member of Breast Surgery International, International Society of Surgery, Association of Breast Surgeons India. Amidst her busy schedule, she has found time and does a number of publications in national and international journals and conventions and seminars. She has made a number of paper presentations. What is her specialty is she has a holistic approach to the treatment and rehabilitation of cancer patients. So we are all eagerly looking forward, particularly the topic of lifestyle and cancer, because as many of us know, friends or relatives who have suffered from cancer. And recently I lost a very good friend of mine due to cancer, and another friend who also had a similar cancer survived. So I think lifestyle may be playing a part, and we will know more about that. Over to Sajani.
Thank you so much, Mr. Janaki Ram. And now we have this very, very interesting and informative talk on lifestyle and cancer by Dr. Poovamma. It's over to you, Doctor.
Hello and good evening to everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome and for having me here at the School of Ancient Wisdom. I just love the name of your, the organization. It just resonates with so much of positive energy and, mindfulness. I did have a PPT. I do not know whether she has loaded that.
Have it, the PPT?
Yes, I have, ma'am. Can I share it?
Yeah.
Tell her when to put on the slides.
Maybe just put on the slides and I will talk along with it.
Okay, just a moment.
Start it now.
Okay, in the meanwhile, I think, like Mr. Janakri said, that all of us have somebody in our family, extended friends, in our group who have cancer today. And I think cancer has become um, another pandemic, I should say. Keeping in mind that how the rates of all kinds of cancers have increased. um, I think it's prudent that we know how cancers present. What is it that we can do to mitigate our risk of developing cancer? um, how do I just move the slides? Yeah. So the father of medicine is Dr. Hippocrates, and I think all of you all have heard. And he made the statement way back, centuries, back, and he said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine by thy be thy food." And I think this statement holds true today, very much today, in this world of over processed food, food which is lost its jiva, food which is not nutritious anymore. It's empty calories. And I think if we can go back and check what is on our plate, what is it that we are eating every day, I think that will tell us why the number of cancers are on rise, why the number of overall diseases like diabetes, hypertension, your cardiovascular problems, why all of these are on the rise today. It's all boiling down to our everyday practices. The incidences of cancer is rising, and the rates are doubling, I would say. And partially it's also probably because of the availability of better diagnostic modalities. People seek healthcare, meet healthcare individuals quickly today because of access to healthcare. But it's also sad to sit in an OPD when we're seeing very young patients coming in with cancer. I predominantly deal only with breast cancer, and I think every day I'm seeing a lot of women in their 30s, 40s developing breast cancer. And I think the trend is not a very good trend, because going forward I think the age is going to further decrease. And this is a bunch of women who are at the prime of their life, and at the prime of their life they're coming down with cancer. They have young children, careers just starting off, or not even have children yet, or or just married or whatever. But at the prime they're coming down with this cancer, and then this shatters their life. And most of our patients do well, and they come out of this, then I think they make a lot of positive changes to life, and maybe go on to lead a more meaningful life. But I think it's still traumatic, and if there's something that we can do to decrease our risk, then we should take that into our hands, and see what are the things that we can do to reduce our risk of cancer. That's one thing. The second thing I want to actually stress upon is that I think many of us take our health for granted, and we keep there's extended family work, which always comes first. And even though we know something is wrong in our body, and our body is telling us there's something's not correct, you found something abnormal in the body, we keep putting off diagnosing or treatment, because we are scared of what we're going to be told, or we are scared that what will happen if I go to the hospital. But I think when it comes to cancer, what is important is early diagnosis, because the earlier we pick up a cancer is always better than picking it up in late stages. And I know, and this is very important, because even recently I had a doctor patient who already had breast cancer once before, and the second time she developed cancer in the opposite breast, because she was just worried about the treatment aspects of undergoing chemotherapy, maybe the cosmetic effects of losing hair. She pondered about it and thought about it, and came after about 8 to 9 months at a much more advanced stage. So I mean, I understand it's difficult to accept, especially for women when they're coming, with the second time. But what is important, I think, is to take the bull by the horn and get it treated. That's what I want to tell all women out there, because cancers can be treated very easily when they're early stage. So don't procrastinate and push it, and come into the clinics at late stage. The other difference is, in India, especially in breast cancer, we're very different from the West in the sense that most of our women come in advanced stages because it doesn't hurt. Breast cancer doesn't pain, so they say, oh, it's not paining. Then why do I go to the doctor? So I think what is important is listen to your body, and when your body tells you that there's something wrong, something abnormal, please get it checked. So cancer can happen to anybody. It's a process of something going wrong with our DNA, which could be inherited, or it could be because of the changes that occur in your DNA in your lifetime, because you're exposed to chemicals or hormones, or whatever it is, the various types of carcinogens. So what is cancer actually? So cancer is basically when a normal cell, when something goes wrong, when there is a hit to the cell or some trauma to the cell undergoes a change. And when that change happens, the body gives it a signal that it should die because it's abnormal. But in cancer cells, the cancer cells continue to divide and grow and multiply and then spread, and the cancer cells don't die. And that's why cancer is represented with the sign of a crab, with the tentacles going always outwards and growing and growing. It is said that nearly 40 to 45, 50% of cancers are caused by our lifestyle. So when I say lifestyle, it includes what we're eating, what we are doing, what is the physical activity that's involved, how we are sleeping, what kind of stresses we are taking every day. So nearly 40 to 45% of cancers are because of, are because of modifiable risk factors, or meaning to say that, we have a small control about what we can do about these. There are certain number of cancers which can also be, prevented with vaccination. I think now we've seen how I think India has overcome COVID with vaccination. And compared to other nations, we are doing very well. So certain cancers are also caused by viruses, and we have vaccination against that, especially like hepatitis B for liver cancers. The human papilloma virus, which is known to cause cervical cancer, penile cancers, head and neck cancers, can be easily prevented by with the HPV vaccination, which should be given to all young girls and boys before the onset of sexual activity, because of which the incidence of cervical cancer has come down drastically today. And I think that's wonderful, especially because in rural India it is very, very common. And young people were dying with this, and then it kind of spreads really fast. So I think if cancer can be prevented with a simple, some of the cancers which can be prevented with a small injection, I think we should make ourselves avail that vaccination to all the women there, and all the parents out there. If your child is not vaccinated, please do inquire about a human papilloma virus vaccination. Now, coming to lifestyle changes that we can talk about, which leads to cancer. I would say the most common the implicators are smoking. I think it's all of us know, with the government forcing us to watch those videos of people with cancer, which is being displayed during movies and things like that. But smoking is one of the biggest risk factors for many of the cancers, especially from the lips, the oral cavity, the voice box, and the lungs. Secondhand smoke is also very bad. Smoking also increases risk for breast cancer. Second, I would say, is probably alcohol. Alcohol, okay, also increases the risk of a huge number of type of cancers, including breast, colon, endometrium, liver cancers are caused by alcohol. So those are the two ones which we can really work on, and try to avoid, smoking should be completely given up. Alcohol completely avoid or cut down to less than a drink a day. Now, coming to food, food is, I think, uh, uh, there are various people say, food, we should treat our bodies like a temple, and what we put in should be really healthy, to prevent cancers. Um, um, uh, um, So when I say health food, it we're talking about plant-based food, maybe cutting down on your, the red meat, the processed meats, which processed meats are classified as class one carcinogens, meaning to say that they've been proven to be, carcinogenic, especially increases risk for colon cancers. We also talk about, the way we process our food. Uh, do we grill it? Do we, boil it? Do we smoke it? So smoking, grilling, charring, deep frying, all of that increases the causes a lot of chemical changes in our food, which increases the risk of these compounds, leading to increased risk of cancer. So also in certain countries, because of the food practices, certain types of cancers are more common. Like if you take the Japanese, it's said that, stomach cancer is very common there because of way they process their food. So different countries have a little bit of different predisposition things for cancers, depending on their diets and how they, process the food. So when I say a plant-based diet, it doesn't mean that, you take an over processed plant based diet, like a over processed rice, or the maida, or noodles. All of that again are vegetarian, but that doesn't mean that is a good diet. So when we say how can we avoid cancers, we say at least take in about 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables in your diet every day, and that can go a long way in decreasing your risk for developing cancers. uh, um, what I tell people is, and what I try to, inculcate every day is your meal should look like a rainbow. Your meal should look like a rainbow. You should have fruits and vegetables of different colors on your plate. Try to avoid white on your plate, like the white rice, the white the chapati or the roti. Avoid white on your plate. And I think and the thing is, in India, we are blessed throughout the year. We have different kinds of fruits. We have a lot of green leafy vegetables. We don't have to eat exotic, foods or vegetables which are, imported from other countries. And I say here, vocal for local. Whatever is locally available, whatever's available in the season, I think is what we should incorporate into our diets, and keep it as colorful as possible. Keep it as less processed meat derived foods, which can, I think, go a long way in decreasing risk for cancer. For men, we say, okay, maybe uh, um, 2 drinks per day, or for women it's one per day, is what is uh, okay and acceptable when I say for alcohol, in the alcohol limits. But it's always best to avoid alcohol and smoking to prevent a lot of cancers. Now, the other thing that is really rising in India is, I think, is obesity. So before, we would say, obesity was, considered to be a rich man's disease, because, that only when people had plenty, they would be, reaching obesity. But today, I think obesity is considered as a poor man's disease, because um, people now have learned that eating excess is not healthy. It doesn't mean it's good for you. um, Obesity is a risk factor for various different kinds of cancers, including breast, endometrium, renal cancers, gallbladder cancers, cancers of the uterine wall, ovarian cancers, and including a variety of brain cancer. So obesity is becoming like a pandemic, I think. And I think if you all and eating practices have changed to such an extent that today children only want to eat pasta, pizza, the pastries. And we all have moved away from our traditional diets. It's becoming more oil based, and deep fried, over processed food, which is which is increasing risk of increasing obesity. And obesity also causes so many other changes in the body, like increase in insulin like growth factor, leading to diabetes, decreased insulin sensitivity. And I think with obesity itself increasing to such a large extent that we're going to see a full blown what to say rise in cancer levels in the next few decades. And I think if we don't make these small changes now for our children, for our grandchildren, and try to inculcate more acceptable methods of eating, probably go back to what our parents, grandparents ate, and maybe also mindful eating. Like I think before, all of us always sat at a table, ate together, spoke about our day, and we had an interactive, mindful, slowly, and food was what we grew, or what our neighbors gave us. But today I think it's all becoming all just piling up on your plate, sitting in front of the TV. It's much easier on the parent also, just to switch on the TV, the child will eat whatever's given. But I think if you can make small changes, it's going to help us in the long run to decrease the exponential increase in the number of cancers we're going to see. There are a lot of the Indian kitchen, or the Indian our kitchen cabinets in India are so full of spices and so full of fresh fruits and vegetables. So I keep stressing, more fruits and vegetables, more fruits and vegetables. Um, my kid, watches cartoon. So there's this song which they sing on Peppa Pig, which says, "Fruits and vegetables keep us alive. Make sure you eat your five." And I keep telling him, you're singing this song, you should be eating your fruits and vegetables and not just singing it. And but he'll sing that, and then he'll to tease me, he'll say, "Ma, chocolates and biscuits keep me alive," and things like that. And I'm like, I think you should listen to Ma. And so it's a difficult task to get these children to eat their fruits and vegetables. But I think this is something we have to make a change. We have to revert back to our old practices, change the way we eat, to see the decrease in the number of cancer patients. Having said all of that, I think some of the last things I want to say for lifestyle is sleep is something which is very, very important. I think, especially because of the IT industry in India, most of our people sleep very late, do the overnight shifts, do the graveyard shifts. And sleep is regenerative to the body. That's when your body repairs itself. So if you're not getting adequate, good, restful sleep, that itself causes so many chemical changes in the body, causes so much of hormonal changes, which can increase your risk for cancers. The last thing I want to stress upon is about exercise. I think, again, especially post pandemic, I think when we were all restricted to our homes, unable to go out, especially if I think with work from home too, our lives have just become, from our kitchen to our drawing room to kitchen. And even now today shopping has become like you take your car, or no, okay, that is also gone now. We all order our stuff home. Everything comes home in boxes, I think. So we've lost the art of walking, moving, and just sitting on a chair is considered to be as bad as smoking. Sitting for long hours, without moving is considered to be as bad as smoking when it comes to lifestyle disorders, not just for cancer, but also for diabetes and for your heart problems. So get up and move. And everybody says, I just don't have time, doctor, to exercise, meaning including me. And it takes a special effort to actually get out and make time for exercise. But a long time back, when one day when I told somebody, it's so difficult, whole day you're at work, and then you come back, and then you have housework, how do you fit in the exercise? So that person told me, don't you, however busy you are, don't you take time out to have your breakfast, lunch, and your evening tea and dinner? And I was like, okay. And then he said, same thing. So the same way, if you don't prioritize your life, or don't prioritize your health, they're not going to make time for exercise. And I think exercise is also something that has been proven that it goes a long way in keeping your body functional, keeping your mind healthy, helps to prevent cancers. For many of the cancers, post treatment to diet modification and exercise have been shown to decrease the risk of a relapse of cancer. So I think um, we take into we make small changes in life, small changes in how we eat, how we sleep. And I think that itself will go a long way in decreasing the number of cancers we're going to see in the future. Just a few small words before I conclude. Many of the cancers are very painless, when you start with. Now, coming to breast cancer, one of the most common complaints is just a lump in the breast, which is usually painless. And I'm stressing upon this is because what I see in the clinic every day is many of the times women come in and say, I've seen this change in my breast. I've noticed that I've noticed a lump, or a nipple retraction, or I've noticed that there's something thickening over there. But doctor, it just doesn't hurt. It doesn't trouble me at all. And that's why I was just waiting on it, thinking it's just related to my cycles, that it'll go away. And that's why I've come to you after 6 months, 8 months, because it doesn't seem to be going away, and it's just increasing. So I think this myth that this the movies have put into our brains, that cancer means you have to be weak, you're bedridden, you can't eat, you're vomiting, you're feeling very tired, is kind of a myth. So some of those symptoms you'll only see in case of maybe a stomach cancer, or intestine cancer. And that is again maybe when it's a little more advanced. But otherwise, many of the cancers are very silent when they start with. So I would say any niggling sensation, any change in the body which is persisting, not going away in about 2 weeks of time, like say a change in voice. Okay, you have a cold, that's why you have a change in voice, that's okay. But the cold should go away, your voice should revert back to normal. So say your voice doesn't revert back to normal after 15 days, 1 month, please get it evaluated. Any kind of a lump or a bump anywhere in the body, irrespective of whether it's painful or not, should be evaluated. Any kind of a persistent change in your bowel habits, from constipation, loose motions, need to be evaluated. Any kind of abnormal bleeding has to be evaluated. Any kind of a change in any mole anywhere, suddenly it becomes too itchy or starts growing. Any kind of any kind of lumps anywhere, please get it evaluated. I think the last thing I would say is health is wealth. And we have to make time for our health, because ultimately if something goes wrong, uh, we are the ones facing the treatment. We are the ones looking at going through it all by yourself, though you have your family and friends to stand by and support you. But the whole process of the treatment, or going through whatever, you still have to bear it. And it's always better to catch things early than late. And so at least secondary prevention. For some of the cancers, we can also do screening. Like breast cancer, cervical cancers are some of the cancers which can be picked up way before women can come with symptoms of the cancer. We can do a routine mammogram once a year, which can pick up very small tumors in the breast in stage 1, long before the woman would be able to identify it by herself. Or even a pap smear can pick up small changes in the cervical lining, which could even tell us that it's precancerous. So you're catching the cancer even before it's going to change into cancer. So that so sort of things like that. Or maybe just once a year, just getting some of the routine tests can help to pick up the early cancers. So I would say health is wealth. Make time to eat healthy, think healthy, and at the end of the day, I think a positive framework in mind, being happy itself is very good for health. And I think I wish you all a positive evening and a happy evening.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was really wonderful. And I hope we can do that, change our diet, our lifestyle, sleep enough, exercise, as you said. Now, we'll open it up for questions, okay? Right. Anyone wants to ask a question? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, Sajani.
Okay, Kashmira, go ahead, Kashmira.
Yeah, more than a question, it is a question. In the West, we get tests done routinely. Why isn't that being emphasized in India, where you get a pap
I
smear
didn't
and
get
you
your
get a...
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
My question is, like in the West, getting a pap smear and getting a mammogram done every year is a routine.
Yes.
Is there some way we can make that happen in India?
So
is the cost factor very high?
Yeah, I think what is happening is because, see, in the West, healthcare is very much driven by the government. So the government decides, that, okay, it's driven by them. So the government decides either you do a mammogram, pap smear not every year, mammogram once a year, or pap smear once in 2 years. So the government drives those programs there. It's driven by the government and it's free for the people. And the government says you have to do it because the government is going to be footing the bill for the treatment for the entire thing. So that's how those are countries where health is socialist, driven by the government, and that's why they insist upon it. But I think the healthcare system in India is very different from what is there. See, this is there only maybe in few countries like maybe America, Canada, maybe Cuba, and few other countries like that. But it's not mandatory in India. It's not government driven in India. That's the thing that's lacking here. Also because maybe because of the population we have, that government doesn't have the ability to drive such programs. So it's more opportunistic, meaning to say when women walk in for certain other complaints, we ask them to get the mammogram done. Or sometimes some of the employers now are insisting on a yearly health checkup for employees, and luckily those health checkups also include a mammogram and pap smear. But yes, I think we try to take the message out there to everyone that please get your pap smear, mammogram. These are two cancers which can be picked up very early, much before they can even you would realize you have it. Considering that in India, a lot of the breast cancers and cervical cancers are picked up in stage 3 or even stage 4. But this is something I think we just have to get across to our people to want to do it. Because I think a lot of the mindset is, if I'm feeling fine, why should I go and get it done? I'll be just bringing it upon myself, and maybe if I go for a test, they will tell me something is there. But so there's nothing we can do to drive it. We do give out these messages. Do give out these talks about awareness about screening for these cancers. But women still have to be proactive about their health. And I've seen that I give these talks, and a lot of them will say, yes, I'm going to go get my mammogram. And maybe after 6 months, if I ask them, did you do a mammogram? Everybody be like, no, I have to make time. I don't have time. I'm so busy with this. I'm so busy with that. So I think what the thing is, we don't make time for our health. We prioritize everything else in life, and our health always takes the back seat. And I think so maybe it's time for the family members to insist that the women go in for a yearly checkup. And more than that, I think even if they just do a self-breast examination, or just be aware of what your body is telling you, you feel something different, please go get yourself tested. uh, that's all I can say, because I don't think we can tell our government to start the screening program. But we did try to, bring in screening, at least not the mammograms, at least to pick up, the palpable tumors. We had gone into the district levels in Mandya. It was like a pilot project to teach the Anganwadi workers to, talk about screening for breast and cervical cancers when they visit women home to home, and to teach them, self-breast examination. So at least where, at least the palpable tumors come in early than, in the last stages.
Can I say something here, Doctor?
Yeah, yeah.
As you said, the companies that we worked for insisted for us to have screening
Yes.
every year, both breast cancer and cervical and pap smear. But as you said, after I retired, I didn't do it. I just
Yes.
came thing to inquire about my sister, and I got lucky. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's good to get it done every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's on us.
Yeah.
The
The onus is on
responsibility.
us now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
And
Now,
also,
Ramesh,
one
you
more.
wanted to ask something?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. It's okay.
Sajani, I also want to ask.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if Ramesh wants to, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the question I had was, um, when we talk about, and I mean, Dr. Poovamma, thank you so much for whatever you've told us today. It is definitely uplifting. But in native medicines, I've also heard factors like sunlight, oxygenating the body through pranayama, and an alkaline diet, more of fruits and vegetables, and probably eating only twice a day, partial fasting, things like that, can make a big difference to alleviate or even remove cancer from one system. Of course, also meditation and altering the way one perceives life. So, in these areas, towards these ends, what is the research done in allopathy? Is it first of all valid as per allopathy, and
So
what
I
is the
think
research done?
whatever you just mentioned, I had already put it in a little slightly different way, maybe. Like how you said 2 meals a day, I must have said no obesity, cut down on that. And I must have said lots of exercise. Okay. And when you said alkaline diet, I said more fruits and vegetables on your plate and cut down on your meat. Okay. So yes, all of this have been actually proven. Okay. That's why I said 40 to 45% of breast cancers are because of our lifestyle. Okay. And like you said, sunlight is very good, very important. Vitamin D is very important, because all of us kind of shun it. And though we have so much of abundant sun in our country, all of us are vitamin D deficient. But with sun, you should always be careful as to what time you get exposed to the sun. So again, if you go back to the natural sciences, they will tell you early morning, late evening sun, because the daytime is the very harsh sun, which increases your risk for skin cancers. Okay. Not common in India, but common in the West and in Australia, where they do a lot of sunbathing and all that, drastically increases risk for skin cancers. But yes, whatever you said has kind of been proven. Okay. But it's a little difficult to prove mindfulness, and that is a little difficult to prove, or stress is difficult to prove, because very difficult to quantify stress. Something which could be extremely stressful for me could be nothing for you. That's like an everyday thing for you. But I've also incidentally seen that, a lot of our patients, when they come in with acute, at the time of diagnosis, sometimes they've just gone through very difficult periods in the last 1 or 2 years. It's incidental. I think it's impossible to do a study of that. But yes, that's why I said, ancient school of ancient wisdom, and I think there's a lot that I can take back from you guys. But all of this, yes, the diet, the exercise, the lack of sleep, physical activity have all been proven. So it's proven that 35 to 40 minutes of moderate level of exercise, at least 5 days a week, can decrease your risk for cancer, can decrease risk of cancer relapse. It's proven that obesity is a risk factor for at least 15 different types of cancers. Okay, it's proven. It's proven that meat is carcinogen, especially processed meat is carcinogen. It's proven that processed food with all the coloring and artificial whatever are all carcinogenic. It's proven that polluted air is carcinogenic. So that's why in India we have a lot of lung cancers who are not even smokers because our air is so polluted.
So there's one more thing. Of course, things like drinks like Coke and things like that, they should probably be banned because they're so carcinogenic.
Yes,
And
yes. Yeah, I think that's one of the the side effects of globalization, that the West is trying to now, I've heard a very innovative ways of using yoga for the term yoga and pranayam. People will say deep meditative breathing, or synchronized breathing, or fancy terminology. US will take pranayam and give it a fancy terminology and then try to make a patent out of it and tell us that you all can't use it, it's ours. But I think the lot of the places are going back and picking up on a lot of the ancient Eastern practices, and I think we are trying to ape the West, which is bad. And I think if we can just go inwards and go look back and see what our grandparents did, we can make a huge change in the future generations.
one last question. I remember reading that 30 countries and growing number of countries are now using alternative diagnostic methods like aura reading, because auras can even show the approach of cancer 3 to 6 months before it actually manifests in the body. So what is your opinion and what is the allopathic opinion on that?
So to be very frank, I'm very, very curious about aura reading, and I actually went in and tried to learn a course. I'm still looking into it, but I haven't yet dwelled into it. I think I was just looking at where I could go and try to learn, because I think see, I'm an allopathic doctor. I don't have much background in all of this, but I think there's a lot we can learn, and be a little more holistic in our approaches, because uh, um, a lot of the health, I think, is preventive health. Okay.
Yes.
And we don't talk about preventive health in India at all. It's all about catching the disease and then treating it. So whatever I spoke today was more about preventive health, and I think prevention is always better than cure, right? I mean, that's something which we all, as just it's just there in our brains. So I think if we can there's so much Ayurveda can teach us, there's so much naturopathy can teach us, there's so much all the other fields of medicine which can teach us. And I mean, I can't really talk about aura reading, or but I've heard people talk about how they see a disarray in the aura of the person, there's a break in it, and all of that. But I'm not a I cannot I have not studied it, so I'll have to learn it from somebody else. If you could recommend, yes, I would love to learn more about it.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. I think Beena wants to ask a question. Beena?
Yeah. Hi, doctor. I don't
Hi.
think you recognize me, but I came to see you. I came to site care for my chemotherapy.
Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, your name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, thank you so much for the lymphedema exercises. They really help.
Thank
And
you.
yeah.
Okay.
And I just wanted to ask you, are there any drinks or anything that I can have that can make my body more alkaline? Food and drinks. Food, I think you said plant-based.
I think I'm not really a dietitian, so I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
but I can just tell you maybe from what I have I keep reading about diet and what is good for health and stuff like that.
Right.
So a lot of these they say just warm water with honey, lemon, chia, all of that helps. I've heard people talk about apple cider vinegar with warm water. Sometimes I drink all of these smoothies myself too. Like, I keep changing it. When I get bored with one, I change to the other one. So sometimes I just take different green leafy vegetables, and maybe just a spring of mint, a spring of uh, coriander, a little bit of palak, and I put in a cucumber, I put in a tomato, I put in some lemon juice, nicely mix it. But the most important thing, I think, when you're talking about juices and drinks is not to strain it and remove the fiber, because fiber is very important for I know I didn't touch about fiber, but fiber again is something called, we call it as probiotic. And it's very, very important for our gut cleaning, for the healthy gut. And there's a lot of research going on into gut and mind, and how everything starts with the gut. When your gut is wrong, everything goes wrong in the body. So I think there is something to this alkaline diet. And yes, I think alkaline diet is again about sticking to more fruits and vegetables, cutting down on your processed foods, cutting down on your meat, especially processed meats and processed foods. So I think if we can at least cut down on all our processed food, and it's impossible to say don't ever eat something, but if we can make it maybe a once in a month event, not an everyday event or not a every meal event, those are the ways we can probably try to get a little more healthy. But ultimately, I think it's also your genetic. You're blessed with good genes and sometimes bad genes and sometimes in between genes. And I think the in between genes are what we can push towards good or bad. Because
Right.
sometimes I just I've seen patients who'll tell me, I'm pure vegetarian, I do yoga every day, I meditate every day, and why am I come with cancer? I don't have an answer to them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very unpredictable. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Does anyone else have a question? I think there's something in the chat box
Yeah, I'm
about
just
yes, about whether males can get cancer too.
okay. Yeah,
Breast
males
cancer.
can
Breast cancer.
breast cancer. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Males do have breasts, so obviously they can get breast cancer. Okay, but it's uncommon. We say it's about 1%, less than 1% of men can develop breast cancer. If it's a hereditary type of breast cancer, then it's a little more common. 6% of men with inherited abnormal gene can develop breast cancer. So it's uncommon, I would say. But yes, we do see males also with breast cancer, and it's treated the same way as how a woman is treated.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a small question.
Yes, Deepti.
Doctor,
Yes.
supposing somebody's already gotten cancer, any of the things that you've mentioned, including diet, exercise, like for
Mm,
instance, if somebody has a psychological problem, there is, nutritional psychology and, raw food therapy. Of
mm.
course, those things are not life-threatening, but what if they already have cancer? And do you think any of these measures that you mentioned, like, exercise, diet control, good sleep, warm water with honey, do you think it would work to reduce it to some, yeah, gradually at least? Do you think any of this works that way? Uh,
Okay. So I would
they
say, see,
avoid the wrong type of diet, processed meats and red meats and whatever you just mentioned.
mm,
So, do you think it would, now, supposing they are under some treatment, like for instance, allopathy, or,
mm.
do you think it would gradually reduce their cancer?
So what I'm when I once you already see, there are two ways of looking at it. Okay, so all of what you said will definitely help prevent cancer. So there was a study long back, done on women who met with fatal accidents. Okay, and their breasts were examined. So it was seen that nearly 40% of the women in the 30 to 40 age group had small cancer cells in the breast. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of changes happening in the body every single day. There are cells which are becoming cancerous, and our immune system clears it. And that's where, before you develop a cancer, your good health, your good nutrition, your exercise, sleep, and all of that goes to prevent those cancer cells from taking root in the body and becoming a full-blown cancer. So all of that is preventive. Once you've had cancer, say once you've just these treatments are not going to cure your cancer once you already have a cancer, because cancer is cancer. It is a crab. It is going to start developing, and it's going to start increasing and change. And having said that, cancer is not one entity. Cancer can happen anywhere from foot to head to toe, and in every organ the types of cancers we get are very, very, very different. Like, we get different types of brain tumors, you get different types of oral cancers, even lung cancers, you have different varieties. When it comes to blood cancers, there are so many different varieties. When it comes to breast cancer itself, is again not one entity. We have at least 4 or 5 different types of breast cancers. And some of them are very aggressive, some of them are very, very slow growing. Okay. But even so, just the change in all of the diet and all of that may not help if you already have cancer. But once if you completed treatment, these changes it has been shown in certain studies for certain types of cancers that changing your diet, increasing your incorporating exercise into your diet can prevent relapse. So there's this one study which was done for breast cancer, and especially for the subset of breast cancer which is hormone dependent. And the study was what kind of supplement will help prevent a relapse other than the standard medicines and after the standard treatment. So they kind of studied different supplements, all the fancy expensive supplements, and your vitamins and everything was studied. And what that study went on to tell us was, if you're obese and you lose weight and come back to your normal weight, and if you exercise every day, your chances of relapse further decreases. Okay, so yes, I think incorporating all of that will help. More than that, I think just like we're talking about food, physical activity, and all of that, there are a lot of studies which are telling us that even a 5%, 5 to 10%, I'm not talking about kg, I'm talking about 5 to 10% weight reduction from what we are today can help to prevent diabetes, to prevent hypertension, to decrease risk for cardiovascular, problems. And I think we as a nation are not a very healthy nation. Okay, we are, the slightly more plumper, happier, chubbier set of people. But I think we have to, move towards a more, being conscious of our bodies and getting obesity down. And that's why I was stressing about obesity, because obesity is a risk factor. And it is becoming endemic in India. If you go out and you go for a stroll, and you just see even kids are coming with pot bellies. And sometimes, in the weekends, I think we're all looking at it and saying, okay, what do we do? What do we chill out? Let's go for a movie. What are we doing? We're just going to sit over there and we're going to eat. We don't treat physical activity as something fun, something we should do. And I think that's where we need to bring in that change and make it into a everyday habit, and not something only a small set of people will do.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you. Any other questions?
Yeah. Good evening,
Uma?
doctor. Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, doctor. Nice to hear whatever you had to share with us. Yeah, it was a regular thing, but I know that being an allopathy doctor, it's always very, very different for you to talk about the natural remedy or the Ayurveda or homeopathy, we know that. I don't know. I don't call it a mental block. Maybe, according to me, I accept all the treatment. Whatever helps us is good. If it's going to help, mentally, physically, or in your disease, whatever disease you are, not exactly cancer, anything for that matter. Because for that matter, I got diabetes and cancer together, say about 23, 24 years ago. So now I'm following what is called the reverse diabetes. Okay. So that has helped me a lot. Just
Yeah,
by
that's what
giving
I
up
was
the
just
dairy
talking to you
products,
about.
just
You
by
know, your
giving up
weight.
dairy products, for all of us, I'm telling you, it's not only the people, not only who have the lactose intolerance, but even otherwise, giving up the dairy products has been a
Yes.
big boon, not only for me as a diabetic, but for other people also. It has helped them a great deal. And it changes their lifestyle, not to have cheese, not to have butter, not to have all these heavily fried products, which the children generally order on Swiggy, Zomato.
Yeah.
That is the way the lifestyle is going nowadays. And the main thing is that you eat whatever your grandparents and your parents ate. And that's it. It's simple. We used to
Yes.
have sprouts. We used to have salads. We used to have
Yes.
kosambri, what is called. Even for pujas and all, we used to make only that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think going back to that, but the problem is the youngsters always tell you, but Aji, you grew up in that time where food was not contaminated, provisions were not contaminated. Now there is so much of modification, GM modification, which goes on in what we get on the
Mm-mm.
market. So we are not naturally as healthy as you, as robust as you, or strong as you. So you see, the argument can go on like this. But talking about men's breast cancer, here in India, it's still not at very, very, what I can say, activated, really. Because women themselves, we ourselves shy away from going. So
Yes.
talk about men coming forward, they have the big ego, right? I'm sorry, I know a lot of men are here, but it prevents. Nothing wrong with me. My wife has to go and get tested. Why should I do it? That type of an attitude.
Mm-mm.
But I'm very happy to say Dr. Lopamudra Roy and Dr. Sandeep Roy, with whom I'm on the World BCH Cancer Group from North Carolina. She's
Mm-mm.
a men's breast cancer specialist. Okay,
Okay.
she's now in India. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
for the past almost couple of months, because a lot of doctors come from Assam, as you know that. So
Mm-mm.
since Assam was flooding and all that, and there we do outreach camps. I think that is what we all have to stress, because I know the
Yes.
corporate hospital, because I go to all the hospitals. As Sajani said, I'm a survivor. I'm a winner. I don't call myself a survivor, I call myself a fighter. You know,
Mm-mm.
I go to all the hospitals and I go for outreach. That is where now we are lacking.
Yes.
Corporate
Yes.
hospitals are there, but I can count on my fingers how many corporate hospitals are willing to extend their hand to our have-nots.
So that's what I was telling you. We actually had a program where we went down to Mandya, and we were doing it as a pilot to see how we can, get the Anganwadi workers involved, to teach them about breast cancer screening and cervical cancer screening, because we know we can't get all of them to come into the hospital for a mammogram. So at least if you can just, convey the symptoms about cancer in a subtle manner, and at least talk to them about, self breast examination or what to look out for. So that's something which we are working on. There's another project which we are working on. I would, it'd be nice to, it'd be interesting for you to hear. We have we have trained about two or three blind girls, visually challenged girls, to do a physical breast examination for women, which is like a clinical breast examination. And so we sometimes send them out into the community to do clinical breast examination to pick up breast cancers. So it's kind of giving them a livelihood too, and we get them to spread the message about breast cancer also.
Yes, I know that. I know because I am sort of what is called as a guide runner for visually impaired.
Okay.
And we are training them for marathons,
Oh, okay.
Olympians or the marathon. We've already done 2 rounds and got into Limca Book of Record. Now the third batch is getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
do the same, like Mysore, Bangalore, Bangalore, Mysore. And our
Mm-hmm.
Yaduvir is going to flag off. Last time, Pramoda Devi herself flagged it off.
Oh,
So
very
we are
nice.
doing that. But what I'm saying is the outreach is still not enough. And I
Yeah.
don't know whether you heard of thermalytics.
Yes, I know about
Thermalytics.
thermolytics. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're based out of Koramangala, so I also work very closely with them.
Mm.
So that is the thing I wanted to check with you. I mean, I know that it is like, it doesn't cause pain, because the lot of ladies, including my own daughter, she doesn't want to go for mammogram. She says, Amma, it is painful, I don't want to go. So at
Yeah.
least thermatics wise, there is no touching, there is no nothing. It's like an X-ray machine, right? We've seen that. So have you also taken that into consideration in your screening, doctor?
So,
Thermolytics?
see, thermolytics is something that can be just used as a base screening in
Yes.
the periphery.
Yes.
It is not a gold standard for screening for breast cancer as of
Yes.
today.
Yes.
The FDA and the scientific literature with thermolytics is that it should always be done in conjunction with a mammogram or an ultrasound. Okay, but
Yes.
having said that, yes, we can use it as a screening modality for women who are not coming into the hospital or in the
Yeah.
population out there, but
Yeah.
it's not considered a gold standard yet.
Yes, I know that. That's what I know. But then I thought just to get the feeling of, for them, especially the Anganwadi or the outreach, it gives
Yes.
them some confidence, okay, I'm not like, see, a lot of us don't want to show our upper body, that, no? So
Yeah.
that way, maybe just introduce them to this and say, okay, we're not touching, we're not doing anything, we're just doing an X-ray. That gives them some confidence is what I'm thinking. Maybe if you find something there, then you can tell them, no, see, this is not showing anything. Can we do a memo? Instead, it's a gold standard. Go step by step.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. We know there's a lot we have to do because we have to get it to go into the community first of all, and thermolytics is maybe a screening for the community. But like I said, yes, it has its own set of other things. But yes, it is at least a base screening for detect anything abnormal in the breast.
And I also would like to share with you, doctor, we have already forwarded to PM office also. I'm in NOTA, that means the government of no tobacco. We have a
Yes.
committee, high-level committee where I'm there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have suggested a lot of changes and we
Mm.
have also sent it already to PMO personally
Okay.
because we know that at least he's for health, the PM himself. So now the cabinet meeting will be going on. As you know, the monsoon session is starting and all that.
Yes.
So it has already reached them. So
Mm.
only thing is now we know that it is cancerous, especially passive smoking. I have
Yes.
my own friends,
Mm.
the ladies who have lost and they got a voice box and things like
Mm.
that. But the consequences of passive smoking.
Yes, yes.
So
As
now
bad
that
as
also, that
first-hand smoke.
I will request all of you to please join our hands because we need lot of support system from you doctors to
Yes,
cry
yes.
from top of the building that stop it because it's excise. It means a lot of money lost for the government. We know
Yes,
that. But
yes.
then at what cost?
Yeah.
What cost is causing? We have become the leading nation, I think, in
Yeah,
in the,
head and neck cancers are one of the most common cancers in men in India, and it's
yeah,
partially because of smoking and the tobacco chewing, the tobacco quit,
chewing. Yeah.
and yes, even secondhand smoke is responsible for women breast cancers, renal cancers,
Yes.
all kind of cancers.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's also
So
talk about
we
third
really
hand smoke also.
sincerely request you to join hands with NOTA. It's called NOTA.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a government of Karnataka setup
Mm-hmm.
where I'm one of the members there in the committee. So we are really doing. We had a lot of creatives from school kids, from college kids. About 320 creatives came from adults, children,
Mm-hmm.
which we really showcased it at Nimhans. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is again, who's to bell the cat?
Yeah. Mhm. True.
Unless we abolish, and all our Malayali friends, I mean, I'm so thankful to them. They all say that we have done it, ma'am. Why Karnataka is not doing it? Why are they,
Mm-hmm.
abolishing it? Why are they not closing down the corner shops?
Mm-hmm.
They are the main ones who sell loose cigarettes. We don't know what cigarette is rolled.
Mm-hmm.
Addiction. Now,
Yeah.
unfortunately, more ladies are smoking than men. That causes
Yeah.
me great concern, future mothers or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think all of us have to join hands there to see that the incidence comes down at the root cause level.
True.
I
True.
think
Yes.
doing this, that's a different thing, but we have to go to the root. Like homeopathy always doesn't treat, it goes to the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't see the symptoms. So I think, again, that also has a lot of positive effect.
Yeah, true, true.
So like this, I mean, we can go on talking. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
Hello, Doctor. Doctor, I have a small question about the fruit servings you mentioned. You said 5 to 6 servings of fruit?
Uh, yeah,
As per,
servings, types of fruits a day. Yeah,
what does that mean? Like
fruits and
5 or 6?
vegetables.
Yeah, a 5 or 6 servings of food means like how
Not
much, like in terms
servings
of
of food,
quantity?
servings of fruit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe,
fruit.
a
So,
piece of apple, some grapes, some little bit of what are the other
Fire.
fruits? Any fruit,
a
any
couple of
vegetable.
orange
You
pods
have
or
little
half an
bit of all
orange.
of them.
Okay,
Hello.
like it's not like entire fruits, maybe half a
No, you
fruit
don't.
or
You can't eat an entire fruit, 5 or 6, right? It's called 5 or 6 servings of fruit. So I think each serving is maybe about 30 to 50 grams. 30 grams would be more than enough, I would say.
but I
But
would like you
you get the
offhand you wouldn't
variety.
know
You
how
get the
many grams
variety.
is, huh?
You get the
But if
variety.
you're a diabetic, doctor, if you're a diabetic, I mean, I've been a diabetic, as I told you,
You
from
can eat
23
the
to 24
vegetables.
years.
No, I'm not saying you have to have mango or chico or
There are
or the
five allowed,
sweeter
there are
fruits.
five
Eat more
allowed. There are five
vegetables.
allowed fruits. There are five allowed fruits, so I just circulate them. The five allowed fruits. Okay, and yummy mangoes are available in mango season. So they don't say don't eat mango at all, but
So
don't
you can
gorge
eat
on it.
piece. Yes,
You
you can
can't
eat
eat
a
two,
small
three at
piece.
a time. You have a slice, you have two slices, fine. But above that, it's not agreeable. Now the theory has changed even about mango and even about pineapple. Jackfruit, for example. Suddenly now they're promoting jackfruit flour. You make
Yeah, it's
roti of
considered
that. So we
healthy.
don't know.
I
You
think
see,
that's
there
what.
are
No,
varied
see,
theories going around, but we have to know what is good for our body. That's it. Because everything goes back to you. We have to know our body. What is good for me, what is bad for me. Any amount of talking, any amount of teaching outside, no. The desire has to come from within, as we say. It has to come from within.
true.
Thank you.
I believe also.
Any other questions?
I just had one thing to say. I believe also that, doctor, that there is a connection between something I got to know recently, the quality of soil. It seems that the beans that we used to have about 25 years back are at least 40 to 60% more nutritious than they are today. And
Yeah.
in the US, they found that oranges in the 1920s actually have 8 times more nutrition than the oranges today. So you have to have 8 oranges to get the same nutrition now than you did in 20s. Now, if we look at soil quality, there's definitely a big connection then between the
Yes.
nutritional qualities of our diet, because and the connection with cancer, because that is where the alkaline stuff comes in. And so if we don't take care of that, maybe by 2050 they're saying that our food production can drop to maybe 40% using
Yes.
in the same piece of land. So that's another thing I've heard. What is the awareness when it comes to cancer specialists on this front?
See, so this is completely coming from a non-medical, what I'm going to talk about soil, because I also come from a farming background. I think my name tells you that I come from Coog. So I think uh, I've seen my husband and he tries to grow purely organic fruits and vegetables. Okay, and sometimes I do these experiments with him. Believe me, it's not easy to grow organic. Okay, it's extremely difficult because your quality of soil is so important. Your quantity comes down. The way the fruits look, the way the vegetables look come down. And I think that's a completely another subject we can talk about. But soil quality has deteriorated. Our water quality has deteriorated. I mean, how deep are we going for our water? How hard is our water? What's the minerals in our water? And I mean, these are things I think the government has to wake up and make changes. At an individual level, I think what I mean, I really don't know what we can do much at an individual level, because you try. Um, See, now if you look at a farmer's income compared to anybody else's income in the country today, they're still stuck at what their income was way back in the 1920s or 30s. And you're talking at, farmers committing suicide. You want your tomatoes at 20 rupees a kg. If it goes up to 100, you say inflation, inflation. And this farmer is selling it for 5 rupees a kg. How do you expect him to grow organic? How do you expect him to give you fruits or a kg of tomato at 5 or 10 rupees? What can you buy at that? So obviously he's going to see how his production is going to go up, what methods he can use to get a better yield. And I think this is something which the entire population has to wake up to. Governments have to make policies to change it. uh, Without that, I don't see how we are going to how the world is going to change. Because I think, look, if talking about even climate change, right? And all of that is boiling down to all this. It's all connected. It's not soil is different, water is different. um you know your weather is different, my weather is different. You can do your whole organic and do whatever you want, and your next door neighbor can be pumping in all the pesticides and the fertilizers. Ultimately it's all going down into the soil. And once it goes deep down, are your water aquifers going to say, oh, this is mine and this is yours, keep your polluted water and keep my pure water separate? I think Sadhguru had just gone and done a soil. I think he had a
Yes.
soil, something to do with soil, and he went all around the
Soil,
world
and
and
I went
talking
also for
about.
Save the Soil. It was a
So
very great success. Save the
yeah,
Soil. I was there.
save
I
the
also
soil.
went for that.
And I
Save the
think
Soil.
that, those are things, I think, see, without going down to the grassroots level. And I think that at that point we need to remove the middleman between the farmer
Yes.
and the final buyer. The middleman has to go. Only then can we have good food on our plate. Because
What
even if
talking about Sadhguru, I believe he gave a, maybe your husband should try this. He said just keep aside 10% of your land to recharge with animal waste and plant waste.
So
Because
we do that so it's possible when it's a very small piece. In a small piece of land you can do that. But if you can, if you want to try to reproduce that in much bigger acreage or hectares, it's impossible. It's impossible to do that. It's just, so I think these are grave things. We're going to give a very, very bad, polluted world to our children and grandchildren. And they're talking about microplastics in fish. See, whatever happens, like they ban plastic, okay? It gets banned for a few months, and then again slowly it all starts back in. Look at the lakes in Bangalore. Bangalore was a city of lakes. If you're someone from Bangalore, you know how Bangalore used to be before.
yes,
We never needed ACs in Bangalore, and today look at the temperature in Bangalore. You talked about oranges. I come from the land of oranges. I remember as a kid, we used to have, these go downs of oranges. I would just stand there and, open and eat, eat, eat. All our oranges are dead. And we can't just revive them because of the virus, which has, infected the whole thing. So, I think the practices have changed so much that we have to revert back in a manner which is sustainable. But again, that has to be done in a very controlled manner, because looking at Sri Lanka, which they suddenly moved to organic farming, and then the food production came down, and that's why even there be looking at an economic crisis. But Sikkim has done a wonderful job about moving from to being pesticide free and organic farming, and they've done it very, very slowly. And today Sikkim is completely organic farming, I think. One of the only states in India which follow those practices.
But
then it
the
should be
problem here
interesting
also,
in the
doctor,
cancer
they say
movement.
organic and the charges are more, per
Hmm.
kg. How many of us can afford it again?
So that's what
Because
I'm saying, right?
we don't even know, because we don't go to the farmland, we don't go to the nursery, we don't go to the place where they produce. How do we know it is organic? How? Just because they put the label organic?
No, you can't. And that's what I'm saying. You don't know where.
Yeah.
So that's why we need maybe technology to come in, tell us where this fruit or vegetable has come back and traced it from. When you're trying to buy your fruits and vegetables, don't try to buy the aesthetically pleasing looking ones, because you try growing a fruit or a vegetable, you're not going to get every fruit the same long, same size, same shape, same color, glossy, and
Modified. It's all
like
modified. Yeah,
recently,
yeah.
my husband had all mangoes, but because of unusual rains in May, some of them were black. So he says, if I try selling this, nobody will buy because it looks ugly from out, and the artificially ripened ones look nice, but you cut it open, it's very good. But will you go to a market, and if you buy, will you see a fruit or a vegetable which is a few marks on it, will you buy it? You will not. You will you're just so programmed to think that it should look nice. We will not buy a deformed or a crooked looking brinjal or a beans or a carrot.
By and
How
large,
we
I
see.
go to Opcoms doctor, the Lalbagh outlets, the horticulture department. They have been so far good. I have not found anything wrong there because it comes directly from the producer to the outlets, to horticulture society, and from there in the vans, they distribute it to various outlets. We had Hopcoms all over Bangalore, but a lot of them nowadays, as you said, they all go online. So we don't know. They claim organic, but we don't know. At least when
So
you
many
go
of them
physically,
are moving towards, trying to make, more sustainable vegetables, more sustainable fruits. But like you said, the cost goes up. So how many can actually afford to,
yeah.
uh,
The name
to
of
buy?
organic, I don't know. I don't know whether it's organic. I'm paying more, like Nature's Basket, all
Mm,
these, the so-called new age stores. They all
mm,
say, what is organic? How do I
mm.
know? How do
Yeah,
I
we
know?
don't
You're
know.
not paying twice the amount, but at least when I go to Hopcoms, our own horticulture society, I know the products come from the farmer. They
But
get
that
it,
doesn't
and
mean it's
they sort,
organic.
and they don't say they are organic. No, never. They never claim they're organically grown. No, because I used to go to the Lal Bagh, climb the trees and eat because we used to stay very close to Lal Bagh. Nobody was there to prevent us. We used to just climb the tree, eat. That's all. And sometimes,
I think
take
many
it.
people now, because of that, going to garden farming, your
Yeah.
little patch you farm, you grow your own, there'll be
But it'll
certain
be
set
expensive,
of.
doctor. It's not so easy said. It'll
Yeah,
be
that's what I'm
everybody
saying. It's
buying
not easy
organic.
at
No,
all.
I can't afford it. Forget about others. Even I can't afford it. Maybe once in a while, as a fancy takes me, I go to Nature's Basket. Why
Hmm.
not for to get their
But I think
very
Nature's
nice
Basket is more
yummy
about
bakery stuff
exotic
they
fruits and
get. So,
vegetables from all over the world. So I don't think they're very organic. I don't know. But you get exotic fruits and vegetables which are not available otherwise. And I think we should always try to eat local and
yes.
what's in season.
That's the
That's
best.
the cheapest and the best.
And
It's not
seasonal.
preserved, not
Seasonal
preserved.
also. How can you eat mango in other season? When mango season, are they eat mango and be happy with it? No, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's
They
what.
want butter and they get apricots and blue grapes, black grapes, rose grapes. I don't know. It's not the season.
Anyway, now let's get back to any more questions on breast cancer. Any more questions?
Correct, Sajani.
Yes, any more questions?
There is something on the chat window. Actually.
Okay, just read it out, Ramesh.
Is there any blood test for detecting cancer? Is what Dolly Murthy is asking.
So as of now, I wouldn't say there is any one particular blood test which can detect cancer, but there's a lot of research going on into that. And maybe somewhere down in the line, we might have a blood test which can help, pick up cancers.
Good, thanks. Any more questions?
One more question from Janki Ramakal was what is a good book to read for a layperson on this subject?
On cancer, I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. There was this book about cancer by this famous surgeon. He got a Booker Prize, no, about cancer. I can't remember the name now, but I'm so sorry. I just can't remember out of my head.
Many others commented.
Any other questions?
Yeah, in the chat box, many commented that is it possible to ban cigarettes and carbonated drinks or these
But in
tobacco
India,
items.
we should all, be writing to the government of India to especially ban Coke and, all the aerated drinks
Yeah, and tobacco products. Yeah.
and tobacco.
That's so costly.
Right. Okay. Now, anyone else in the group would like to ask any question? No? Well, if that's the case, thank you so much, Doctor. And now I request Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Thanks, Sajani. Thank you so much, Poovamma. Today's program was, today's satsang was really very interesting because while we've all heard about these details earlier, but coming from a person who's passionate about combining allopathic medicine with a holistic approach is definitely something that is that gives us a new perspective to healing from these lifestyle issues. You mentioned basically that cancer, it depends on the food, sleep, exercise, sunlight. Basically, if we get these things right in our life, then probably we can be cancer free, even if we're genetically disposed, or we can recover more easily from cancer. And also, of course, we also spoke about alternative healing processes. So, on the whole, I feel you're probably the shining new breed of doctors who should take forward an amalgamation of allopathy with alternative healing therapies, the rich knowledge that is locked in India, because many of alternative healing therapies, they have not really been tested or approached scientifically. And if that is combined with a natural way of influencing probably the government bodies about things, holistic things like food, soil and water and things like that, I'm quite sure that people like you spearheading this from a medical perspective, a lot more power will come in to make this transformation happen. So thank you so much for being that kind of a person and coming over
Now,
and
Ramesh,
this hopeful way.
We have the Loka Samasta,
Yes.
and please think of all the people who are suffering not well as he chants the Loka Samasta.
Right. So our name was specifically requested. Malti ji mentioned that requested us to remember Rita Naithani during Loka Samasta today. So please sit straight with your back, neck, and head aligned. Take a deep breath and let go. Center yourself within. As we connect with each other, let us remember all our loved ones who require these prayers and people around the world in these pandemic and war times. Let peace and wisdom and love prevail. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu.
Thank you, everyone. And I'd like to tell everyone that we're having a workshop at the school. It's on the inner child and healing. This is on the 30th and 31st. The charges, it's highly subsidized by the school, so the charges are only 1,400. It starts on Saturday morning and goes on up to lunch on Sunday. So this is by Manjeri. You will remember that she had spoken to us earlier on, I think, what was it? Hypnotherapy. So she's doing this workshop. Anyone interested, because we have hardly any time, it's the next weekend. So if you're interested, kindly call someone at the School of Ancient Wisdom. Can we have the poster, please? Swati? And as usual, we will have our Thursday satsangs every Thursday. from 6:30 to 8. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you. This is the poster of Inner Child Healing and Integration by Manjari Agarwal. The telephone numbers are given, and those of you who would like to join, kindly call and let us know. Okay? So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again next Thursday at 6:30. Thank you, Doctor. It was so nice having you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Do visit our school.
Definitely. Thank you. My
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.